Hey everybody, welcome to episode 3 of Keeping It Digital, your weekly show where we cover all the interesting things going on in technologies. I'm Adrian,
And I'm Vivek George. Nice to meet you guys.
and so for this particular week, we're going to be covering over Sean Parker and Sean Fanning's latest startup called Airtime. I think the website's airtime.com or Airtime app.
Airtime.com, yeah.
Airtime.com. So Vivek, you want to start us off with what the product is?
Yeah, basically, it's sort of similar to what we're doing right now. It's video chatting, but generally the purpose is video chatting with strangers, people you don't know, and doing it in an anonymous fashion.
Oh, so it's a porn site. This is a site you go to.
No,
Oh no.
no, it's not exactly that. I know that might be what you hope, Adrian.
Oh, wow.
But it's actually not something that that's not the main goal.
So basically, what happens, right, is you log in with your Facebook account, and then it'll match you up to people with similar interests of yourself. So maybe people that's worked at the same company or lived in the same state as you,
or a topic that's trending. So actually, when I tested it, a trending topic of interest to me was the French Open. So that's something I clicked on and actually started.
What's that? The French what?
French Open, the French tennis.
Oh,
tennis.
the French Open. Okay.
What's happening last week? Exactly.
Yeah, sports, me, nerd, oil, water just doesn't mix.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the reason why so many people are bullish about this particular product is the fact that I guess it's video done right. But you know me, I think the role that I always play in these things, I'm always the curmudgeon. I'm always the Luddite, as I like to say, because this is not new. People have been trying to do video. As a matter of fact, eBay bought Skype for the exact same thing. Like what eBay envisioned was that as you're selling an auction, as you're auctioning an item online, and you want to maybe talk to that particular person, what you would do is you'd fire up Skype and have a video call. Maybe he'd actually walk you through the product. So this is just basically chat roulette with Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, those who may not be familiar, chat roulette was sort of, I think, where this initial idea sort of spawned from. Chat roulette's a Russian company, or was a Russian project, and with a similar concept, just people talking to each other, not really knowing each other or knowing much about each other, but quickly speaking and then figuring out if they enjoyed the conversation or not.
And what ended up happening with them, I think it was started by like some teenager or something like that. What ended up happening with that particular site was that people tended to use it for actually, for there was a lot of private parts on chat roulette.
There was definitely a lot of penises that appeared on chat roulette,
exactly.
and there was a lot of other stuff that maybe not what they intended, but there was a lot of good material as well.
So let's talk about our thoughts on the product in a second. But I just want to say one quick thing on that thing about on the note about private parts, which is a huge thing. Also to Airtime, they actually put out in their press release that they actually have built special technology. I kid you not. There's actually special technology that they've created, and I think they're going to be patenting to recognize when people are exposing themselves, and it'll automatically block you. But what they're hoping is that the fact that you're connected to your Facebook account will inhibit you or prohibit you from actually wanting to share or expose yourself or do anything that's unsavory, which, you know, the logic makes sense. But yeah, let's jump into what we...
Did you test it out? The technology work?
I did not test out if the technology work yet. So yeah, what are your thoughts on the product?
So, you know, I actually, surprisingly, I mean, to everyone listening, if you haven't tested it out yet, I would recommend it. But you might feel weird to talk to someone that's a complete stranger about, you know, not really knowing what you're going to talk about.
Certainly do.
And the first few seconds, like, yeah, it was a little bit weird, but it came really natural. It's like as if I was talking to a person that I met at a grocery store, or as if I was talking to someone I met on the street. It wasn't a seamless conversation, but it was just like we're just talking.
Would you use the product again?
I don't. That brings up the next point. Yeah, great point. Which is that I don't know if I would use it again. I'm not really sure what the use case is. Yeah. But I definitely like this anonymous aspect to Airtime, which I think I've talked to you a little bit about. Which is, you know, I think these days because of Facebook, because of Twitter, because of social media in general, everyone has an identity on the web,
right,
you know, just like you have in the real world in some senses. And you can't go out there and maybe speak your mind and speak what you truly feel because your identity comes with you, and you know what you say is very much attached to.
But that is the case with Airtime, though. The fact that you are connecting with your Facebook account, you have to be very careful that if you do something, it is connected to you, and someone may be able to report you. Even though it sometimes says that your name is anonymous. I mean, like
I think what they can do is I'm not super sure of that technology what they're going to be doing.
Mhm.
Suppose I took my penis out on airtime,
man,
right?
this is dude, you're ruining our iTunes rating right now. This is supposed to be like a PG-13 show.
And they essentially said, hey, like this guy is the person on the other end reports me.
Mhm.
What would happen is I think they would just airtime would take me off the system,
Yeah.
and that person would not know who I am. So I think airtime would know who I am, and they would know like I've done something wrong. But the anonymous factor continues to be there. So
So you like it for the
I think there's something to be said about that. I mean, you can definitely look at sites like Reddit,
yeah.
who very much there's no exactly identity attached to it. People come there and say, I'm a police officer. Ask me any questions you may have.
And who knows whether or not that's true or not.
Or I mean other ones like I'm a rape victim. Ask me anything you want to ask. Like, and people can share, be very open about sharing. Which, if your identity is attached to that rape victim, topic, it'd be very embarrassing probably for you.
Yeah,
but I think there's a lot of information that can be shared in an anonymous fashion.
Yeah, it's definitely not
that
something.
can't when you're having an identity.
There's definitely some topics you probably wouldn't want to, put your, your name to your face.
Yeah.
But I tried out the product like you. The conversation was very awkward, very weird in the beginning, but then later on it got a little bit better. But I think the person I was chatting with, funny, he was using it also for the same use case I was to test out the novelty.
Yeah, that's
everyone that was there is like, oh, I just wanted to see how it works.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the technology worked, the matching of the interests worked, the fact that you could see the common stuff that you guys like. I saw that we both liked a particular TV show or something like that. Again, it's interesting. Like you, I probably would never use this product again because I've done video chats before. I've been doing that for 5-10 years. It's not new technology. The fact that it's web-based doesn't wow me.
There's a gaming component too.
It has gamification elements. So does everything else.
Yeah.
Like this to me is like, what's the big deal? I think the reason though why people are particularly bullish about this particular product, obviously the people behind it are very important and thought leaders in the space. Not thought leaders. They're very important to the space. And on top of it, this is something that I think some people are theorizing is going to happen next. But imagine if you're on a website, right? Let's take a blog, your favorite blog. And, your author has a little button that says, chat with me. Because, they flipped on that they're available for video chatting. You click that button and all of a sudden it pops open airtime and you're immediately engaged in an airtime conversation with your favorite blogger. And I think that's how people are envisioning the future airtime. It's going to be like the Facebook like button for video. And I don't know who originally put that thought into my mind. I really should credit them. But it was Jason Stein. Thank you. But I'm going to take credit for that now in this video. I came up with that. So it may be Facebook like button for video, which it may be. And even if it does do that, again, I think it's a situation where they weren't the first person to think of that. If they execute, that's great. That's phenomenal because it's all about timing and execution. But we just got to keep in mind there was $1 billion transaction that happened maybe a decade, 11 years ago. That had the exact same premise.
Yeah.
That was eBay's acquisition of Skype, and then they end up offloading that. Now I think Microsoft owns Skype or something like that.
Microsoft owns Skype. Yeah.
Microsoft, yeah. So it's been going back and forth. I think we're going to see a very interesting battle as far as the race to video, because obviously Skype is in this marketplace. You can do a lot of airtime is basically Google Plus Hangouts, but one-on-one.
There's FaceTime.
Yeah, there's FaceTime, and Apple's like they're putting a lot of money in that now. Because FaceTime is now on the
now you can
do it over the cellular networks. It's no longer Wi-Fi. So I think airtime has it has its work cut out for it. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be a challenge. I'm particularly, as you can tell from what I was talking about, really interested on the social aspect of it, the social nature aspect of it, like the anonymous versus your public image.
Mm-hmm.
On the technology side of it, yes, it seems very similar to stuff already out there. Can people and users like bloggers will they be interested in interacting with people over video? Maybe not. I think it could be potentially interesting. Like if you have an article on the
Would
New York Times,
Would you
and you
invest in
want to
airtime?
and you want to put a comment, you can do a video comment on the New York
Yeah, but
Times.
people, this is why
Yeah.
some technologies irks me. This is why I say not all technology is good technology. That
Yeah.
that scenario you came up with, people have been trying to do for 10 years.
Yeah.
Like I've seen other startups that had video chat functionality, video commenting functionality way back,
Yeah.
way back. And this is why, even if they're able to accomplish, it's like, okay, cool, you did something that someone thought about 15 years ago. Great.
Well,
But, okay,
but
but
doesn't mean-
would you
but
invest in
doesn't-
airtime? If you had the capital, would you invest in airtime?
That's a tough question. Man.
Great team.
Great team is
Experienced entrepreneurs.
Yeah, exactly. So that's hard to say. Like purely on a technology perspective, the use case is just not coming naturally to me.
Yeah.
So I don't think so. But the teams is really solid. They have great backers. So maybe they're doing something that I'm missing, and that's definitely happened plenty of times. So
Yeah.
I just purely on the product, I'm not totally buying it, but there may be something longer term that I'm missing.
You would invest. Well, my response is this. Sean, what's cooler than $1 million? A good product. I would not invest in this particular idea. I just don't believe it. I don't think video on the web. I think video on the web will be huge. It's already huge. The online video advertising market right now is $3 billion. It's scheduled to go to $7 billion in, I believe, a couple years. I think every second, if I'm not mistaken, is it 24 hours of videos uploaded to YouTube, or some tremendous figure, some crazy ratio like that? Video is going to be big. This particular execution is not wowing me. I saw it before with Chat Roulette. Before that, I saw it.
But I think I want to go back.
Before that, I saw it with Windows.
I wanted to go back.
Messenger.
I wanted to go back to the subject. Before we get too far away, is you seem to hating on the idea. A lot of it because predecessors have already come out and done something very similar.
Yep.
But that does same with Facebook, right?
Yeah, with other
same,
social networks.
Same with the
Google.
iPod.
Same with Google.
Same Google.
There was other search engines before Google.
Yeah, but it wasn't so much about Google. I think the execution was better. When I bring up and I guess also to a certain degree the iPod, but iPod and Facebook, I think, and Twitter and so forth like that. Those were items that the timing was right as well.
Yeah,
like
we know that timing
the
is very
technology
crucial.
was right. The execution was perfect.
Yeah.
So maybe this is the time now for this type of thing. Facebook and Twitter have made the world much more social. People are interacting. People are much more open.
Agreed.
When Skype was bought by eBay, talking to anonymous people, talking to
It was weird then.
It was weird. Like that was not a mainstream thing.
And by our experience, it was weird now also too.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely apprehensive.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I don't know if you and I have always been the first adopters to.
Well, maybe I think this is also to tackle you and I. I think we're a little bit older than maybe the target demo that they're going after, and so maybe the tweens and teeny boppers are going to love this because they could go into rooms and talk with other Justin Bieber fans, and maybe these guys will figure out a way to monetize that in a way that makes sense. Again, props to them, but for me, this is not technology that gets me excited. This is not what interested me in technology. This is not what excited me. Again, props to them. There's a lot of companies out there that make a lot of money, but for me personally, just it's like, well, okay, cool.
Yeah, and you a little bit earlier point of yours about this, the competitive set. I mean, Skype has a very, very solid relationship with Facebook.
Yeah.
I think it was last year. Yeah, last year they announced that partnership integration. So I'm curious, how FaceTime is, has that,
and there's rumors.
That battle with,
there's always rumors of Skype being integrated with. Well, it's not rumors. It's going to happen at some point. Skype on the Xbox. You can do your video chatting. Of course, like you were saying, FaceTime now, and like Apple's of course going to be real. I think there's a lot of competitors in the space. There's going to be a lot of activity, and who's going to benefit is going to be us as the end users, because at some point within our lifetime there will be a service that's synonymous with video chatting. So that I'm like, yo, bro, it's video chat. You're going to know, like, all right, well, it's obviously going to be insert name of product here, whether that's Skype or whether that's
FaceTime.
Whatever. Yeah.
Airtime.
Yeah. So before we head out, I guess there's also a tangential issue, which is, when you airtime people, the second you log into airtime, it shows you everyone on the right that's on Facebook Messenger. And the reason I bring that up is to kind of segue into recently Apple announced that they're going to be integrating Facebook and Twitter into their operating system, and more so into their mobile operating system and their desktop operating system. It's making sharing of content all that more easier. And Airtime is a good example of that. The second you log in, you see people who are on Facebook Messenger. It automatically signs you in. And it's going to be even more and more easier as more of these services arise, whether that's Pinterest or Instagram that ties into your Facebook account, allows you to share to your social networks. And
Spotify.
one of the things, and one of the things you brought up before was kind of like there's going to be a lot of more noise, right, in the ether. There's going to be so much more. What is that? How does that help us as a society? Is that a good thing? The fact that it's whenever you read an article, you can share that out. Does that make us better?
You hit on always where to get me, and that's the philosophy of these type of things. I'm always very interested in that, and I think that's where the missteps that Facebook is going is that they're becoming very much the white noise of social media. There's a lot of it. There's a lot of content. And most of it is just really not valuable content. It's very much just high level material.
Well, that's very
and I think that's what this is doing right now as well.
Well, I think as far as what the value of the content is very dependent on you as an individual, right? Because to go back to those teeny boppers thing, right? Those teeny boppers, if they're on Airtime, to them it's the greatest content on earth. You know what I mean? And so for a lot of people, I think you brought up a very interesting thing when you had tweeted. I believe you had tweeted this about how Facebook is just for people who are very insecure with themselves, and it's always braggadocious and look at me, here am I now, and again for them they like it. Their followers and friends obviously like it, otherwise they'd unfriend them, and so
I think that's unfortunately where things are going, and I don't know how you avoid that. I
don't think it should be avoided. I think I think it is what it is. This is what people are.
I think so, but then as a product,
you give someone a tool, let them use it how they want to use it.
They want to use it. I agree. But then the problem is, if as a company for Facebook, that means that brings you to the demise of your product. Is that
I don't think it's the demise. Let's say Google, for example, right? Let's say the majority of their searches is what we consider immoral or negative behavior. That doesn't make them that doesn't bring their company down. If there's a lot of searches for hatred or gun talk or whatever.
But the thing is, the content that I'm digesting in Facebook is based off of my friends.
Right.
Well,
you curate your friends.
I mean, my friends are the people that I meet, and then they friend me on Facebook.
I think what you're trying to say is this: you won't unfriend somebody.
I won't unfriend anybody. That's true. I mean, I do. I unsubscribe from them.
You mute. Listen, I don't mute. I unfriend. The second you put something up that's crazy or dogs are better than cats or anything, any kind of wild, crazy comment, I'm unfriending you. Yeah, you just got to go all in and keep it curated. I think that's what helps to cut out the noise. And I personally think the fact that iOS and the new Mac OS is going to be enabling all the sharing, I don't think that's going to be good for us. I think this is going to be way more data points, and the only person, as of right now, that's the only entity that could benefit from that is going to be entrepreneurs.
I think Apple's benefiting.
Well, Apple, it's obviously led by an entrepreneur. But what I meant by entrepreneurs is more like the big data. Since there's going to be more data, there's going to be an opportunity for people who are data nerds to get in there, parse it, and to figure out all sorts of cool, interesting, different things like, these are the hottest items shared from people on the East Coast who use Mac OS or something like that. These are hottest items shared by people in the Southwest that use Windows tablets or something like that. So I think it's going to be an opportunity for data nerds to really get in there, do a deep dive, and put something out that's actually of value. But I think kind of like yourself, I also wonder if I'm less worried about the company and how the self-referential comments impact the company, and more so worried about society. If we're just a society where, yes, it's easier to express yourself, it's easier to communicate who you are and your likes and dislikes. But if it's just all about you, what does that say about us?
Yeah, no, I think that you bring up another good point. I mean, yeah, for sure. I think people are getting more and more absorbed in themselves. I think they're really becoming absorbed in very materialistic things, as opposed to really valuing, greater society, the smaller things in life, the things that you can't, you may not want to brag about, but bring pleasure to people's lives.
Yeah.
So I definitely, it concerns me. I think that's harder to monitor as opposed to a company trying to figure out how to make a product that's sustainable. At least that's in my opinion. a big concern for Facebook. Whereas this, if people are
So
finding,
if people use a tool for bad for you, that's a problem.
no, but I think when I tweeted that message, I tweeted something saying like Facebook has become the human cesspool of insecurity,
Yeah.
and when I tweeted that out, I got some feedback and people seemed to agree, and I'm
But people
curious.
still, for Facebook, they could care less because you're still using the product anyway.
I wonder. I'm using it less. I'm definitely using it less, and I
I'm
didn't
using it just as much.
I didn't ask the people that responded back, but I would imagine in some of the data I've been seeing lately on Facebook is declining.
You know what I wonder? So let's say you I believe you in that you visit Facebook.com less. I do hear you and I believe you, but I wonder if you've since upticked your amount of Facebook logins on other sites.
No.
You haven't connected any apps with your Facebook accounts.
Oh,
Because that's still using Facebook.
yeah. Okay, so
Like you used airtime this past week, right?
Yeah.
You used your Facebook account.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know what I mean? So they're finding other ways to get you.
They may, or another social network might be able to get me.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's always the possibility. But before we end, I just gotta say I think my pet peeve is a little bit different than yours. But on Facebook, when people were always like, "Oh, I just spent the evening with my hubby. Love you, smooches," and then they reply them, and it's like people like in a relationship with someone, and it's like, "Oh, I love my mom. At mom, love you, mommy." It's like, what do you? It's like I don't want to see that. And you do that stuff one more time, and that's an opportunity to get you banned from my Facebook account. But yeah, that's my pet peeve. But I think I think we all have different pet peeves, and that's the beauty of social media. The fact that you could curate it, and you friend who you want to friend and follow who you want to follow.
That's the truth.
All right, so where can people follow us?
You can check out Bueller.com, and actually right now
We
is
should
the perfect time.
we should probably spell that because
Yeah.
it's a very
Yeah,
confusing
that's
name.
true. So you're the better speller than me.
So it's BUELLR. That's BUELLR.Kizom.
Yeah, and right now is we have our coming soon page, so sign up if you want to learn more when we launch. And yeah, thanks for listening in.
Yeah, we'll catch you next week. Peace.